Alright guys, this is gonna be the beginning of the RPG NightCup of tonight. It will be starting off with a time attack qualification phase of 30 minutes. Meaning that all of the drivers that are on the server are able to set the fastest time. Or are given the chance to set the fastest time within 30 minutes. And depending on how many drivers are present, there will be a specific amount of drivers that will qualify for the playoff phase, which is going to be played in a knockout format. So more on that later, but let's first of all have a look at the lineup that we have. We have Nathan RZK for Unity with Europe 1. So he must be the best player, right? Then we have Marius89, very known driver, of course, an all-around driver. Probably going to have pretty good chances to play together with the best drivers out there. We have Testify for Team Oblivion, that is also an RPG expert. Ariana G as well for Milky Way. Then we have Solide Zeehond, we have Vunyo, we have Alex Tourist, also a very, very fast player who also currently holds the world record for this track with a 6-minute 21.30 time that you can see in the top right corner. Then we have Sixella, we have Kevin Strike, we have Skandir, who also is very fast on this one. We have Demos, Yuk, Azoth, Skies and Art, Spam, also driving together with Scrappy and Hazard. LRD, Masabi, Socrato, and the rest. No, Socrato's actually not even driving. The rest are just in the spectator slots. So we have 20 drivers in the field that are trying to qualify themselves for the playoff phase. So it's going to be pretty interesting to see what kind of times the players are going to clock in. I think the majority of those RPG experts are going to qualify with ease, while we have some others that might snack themselves a spot into the playoff phase. So gonna be interesting to see. I think with 20 participants, it's gonna be 10 that qualify. So half of them are gonna pass the qualification in the time attack format. So let's just switch between the players a little bit and see who is gonna have the fastest pace. So the track that we're gonna play today is gonna be a Castle of Sorrow, which is an edited version of Sorrow's map. It is specifically edited for the NightCup. It is a shorter and a bit easier version of a Castle of Sorrow. That is a map that has been around for quite a while. So this map is known to many drivers already before they actually went to practice it. And speaking about practice, of course, everyone had the chance to practice and learn the map before this competition started. So this competition has been announced many days ago, so everyone that was interested was able to practice the map and get themselves into the groove to compete with the fastest drivers. So let's follow Spam here for a little bit, and I'll try to show you all of the parts of the map. I played it myself as well. I have played this one with Spam a couple days ago, just on a casual basis though, so not really anything serious, but I know where to go, or I should remember where to go, hopefully. And right now we are going through the maze part, which is not very easy to navigate through, because there aren't really a lot of visual cues that you have to actually, you know, remember where to go exactly, which junction to take, which barrier you have to break through. And you can see that Spam is also having a little bit of trouble right here. But doesn't really matter, since there's plenty of time to set a fast time. But yeah, this maze part is pretty long. We're now coming towards the end, where you go to this checkpoint, respawn, and then a press forward section out of the maze, or a prison. I think it was rather supposed to resemble a prison at this point. So now through the ring onto a water bounce. So this part now coming up a little bit easier, a little bit of a cooldown section for the drivers after the long maze section. That is of course very demanding. Now it's just pretty straightforward here. Want to maintain your speed. Here is where the engine is being cut off, so this is an engine off part, and you need to get through without making that mistake that Spam just demonstrated us, because if you touch the wall there on that dirt section, you will not be able to reach the next checkpoint since you are in freewheel mode. So maybe let's have a look at Skyzen for Team Elementary. Maybe he's going to be able to pass that section. Of course, in the best case, like optimally, you want to no-slide this entire thing. No-sliding being a very vital technique in dirt driving. where it is really beneficial to play with an analog device and steer very, very smoothly in order not to lose grip on the dirt. Now let's see if Skyzen is gonna make it. There's still a little bit of track left. I'm not sure if I'm gonna... Oh, he's gonna make it. Just barely, though. He slowed down to 36 kilometers an hour, so he almost died. But Skyzen will be able to continue his run as he comes closer to the next section of the track, which is gonna be this little entry right here. And we have another maze here. So this is like a pipe labyrinth, pipe maze. And here is also... Here it's very important to maintain the grip on the dirt, since this is a dirt surface that you're driving on right now. And it is very important that you maintain enough speed, because the jump out of the tube right here requires a certain amount of speed. Skyzen passes it right here with ease. So that's great. But you should definitely make sure that you don't hit any wall, like the sides of the pipe, because that way you will lose too much speed and you're not going to be able to pass the jump out. So very, very important to keep full control over your vehicle. Let's have a look at some others. We have Scrappy for Team Reflex. That is a new organization for Scrappy. After leaving AS Monaco, he is now holding up the flag for Reflex. So a new organization entering the world of TrackMania, which is pretty nice. And Scrappy, of course, trying to perform here in the first tournament that he's going to play for Reflex. Of course, it's a solo competition, but solo results, of course, count as well towards the team reputation. So let's see how Scrappy will be performing. He's a very good driver. He is known for performing well in all-round competitions like the Zerator Cup, for example, or other various tournaments. Also in tech, he's a very competitive driver. So Scrappy knows what's up. And right now, the first players are actually clocking in their first runs. And it is Marius89 right now with the fastest time. 6:42.01, which is 13 seconds off the world record. So I think with this time, Marius will already be safe in the qualification. He will qualify for the playoffs. I don't think he's going to be knocked off with that fast time. Ariana just a 10th behind with a 6:34.11. Then we have Demos and Skandir and Tourist that also finished the run already. So Tourist, as you can see, holds the world record right now with a 6:21.30. That is a really, really quick time, considering the difficulty of this track. It's not the most difficult RPG track by any means, but getting through a clean run when you have so many decisive factors on a map like this is definitely easier said than done. So right here you have a backwards section where you want to enter the water while turning around your car 90 degrees. So you can approach this part backwards. The stadium car is only able to climb this steep uphill in backwards gear. We don't know why this backwards gear is so much stronger than the forward gear when you drive up steep elevations like this. But yeah, this is the case, so the players will take advantage from that and turn around their cars in the water in order to have the most efficient way of getting up that uphill. So don't be afraid when people are all of a sudden turning their cars in the water, because that's how you have to do it pretty much. So little respawn right here. And now a tight passage in between these containers, these IKEA boxes. Tourist getting through really, really nicely. That's nice. Of course, he is considered a favorite in this competition, I would say, together with his RPG experience and, of course, the fact that he has the fastest time right now. He's probably gonna be up with the best in this competition tonight. Let's have a look. We have Zolide Zeehond, a Dutch player for the Smurfs, and he's not really known as a stadium driver and not as an RPG driver. But he's still giving it a try. He is a good driver in the other environments, in Canyon and Valley and Lagoon. So maybe he's going to be able to pull off a nice performance and maybe surprise us with a nice time. So we can follow him through this section a little bit. flip section right here. Pretty straightforward. Nothing you really have to keep in mind there. It's just hold forward pretty much and the car will flip automatically. Of course, you want to make sure that you don't do any sort of air control. So no steering in the air or no air braking or anything. Just straight forward without any sort of correction and you should be fine. Oh, Solide Zehon now turning around his car just as he reaches those treasures. So he needs to respawn and that is going to be a pretty big time loss for him. But since he didn't clock in a time yet, he will continue, which is definitely a fair decision. Fair and understandable decision. So half of the players that are driving will qualify for the playoffs. So we have 20 drivers, meaning that 10 drivers will qualify. So you need to be in the top 10 to move on into the knockout phase. Ooh, he's struggling a lot with this part. Didn't really get the best slide around the obstacles. Passes this jump though. And will be able to continue his journey through the maze. Right now he is on 10th. So technically he would be in. But you gotta keep in mind that half of the drivers haven't even finished yet. So yeah. Let's see about that. Let's follow Masabi, a Finnish driver. Who is currently approaching this part of the track. 1 minute into the track. Going for some safe approaches here. You can of course Neo slide around every single of those corners. Apparently Masabi is either not aware of the Neo slide, is not able to pull it off, or just finds it risky. So he's just gonna drive through it normally, which is of course fair enough. Because you're not really losing too much time with that. There are other parts that you rather want to put your focus on. But this section looking pretty good here for Masabi as he goes for the overtake on Nathan. And we see Marius89 right up ahead. He has been knocked off to third place. So Sixella and Kevin Strike have both passed Marius89's fastest time. So let's see if he's going to be able to improve in his second attempt. The German driver for Team Sferis. Of course, we all know him. We all love him. The Safemeister. And right now, he is 1.9 seconds behind the leader. That is Scrappy right now at this checkpoint. Oh, touches the tree a little bit. Oh, gets stuck here as well. A little bit of a time loss right there for Marius. And right now he's on 6th place and 3 seconds ahead of his PB. Oh, but he doesn't make it up the pipe. And that is going to be a respawn for Marius. Spam has not clocked in a time yet. Maybe he's going to do so in this attempt. We're coming towards this section where you can clearly see that Spam is going for those no slide lines. And that is looking good for Spam. The 2012 World Champion also giving RPG a try. And it is looking fairly decent right now. Seventh place, 11.7 seconds behind the leader. Now we have a little bit of a jump and run section, if I want to call it like this. So a couple of platforms that you need to jump off and to. Spam barely able to make that one. That was very close, but he survives. So a little bit of a Super Mario part right here. Not really too difficult altogether when you know how to approach these jumps. So Spam passing it with ease, which is nice. So let's follow some of the other drivers. We have Hazard also in the mix, who is actually driving a completely wrong route. I don't think Hazard actually knows the map. This is wrong. Hazard got lost. This is not where you have to drive. He is exploring a completely wrong section of the track. So I think Hazard is either untrained or trolling. I'm not quite sure about that. But this is definitely not correct. Azolf is driving, a French driver. Not sure if I ever seen him drive, but he's holding up the flag for Unity. And he's clocking in a time of 9:22, which is definitely not going to be fast enough. Spam also finishing with a 6:40 right now. That is going to give him the 7th position. So, not sure if that's going to be a safe spot for him. Because, as I said, only the top 10 will qualify. So, if he gets passed by 3 drivers, he is already going to be on a wonky position. Wow, and Skandir with a 6:24.2. Only 3 seconds behind the world record. That is a really, really good time. And I honestly don't think Skandir needs to continue at this point. However, it will make sense to keep driving just to, you know, keep yourself warmed up on the track. So, Skandir looking really, really good on this map. Sixella also just starting a new attempt. Kevin Strike also. Marius a little bit further into this part. Now going up the long spiral. Right here. Let's see where he's gonna end up at the checkpoint. Ooh, he's... Wait, what? Why does he continue this run? He's 40 seconds behind. I don't understand why he continues this run. Maybe just for some practice purposes. To, you know, get comfortable with some certain sectors of the track. That might be the reason. Marius is certainly a driver that I would expect to do these things. So this attempt shouldn't be taken very seriously. Ariana just respawning. Scrappy also at the start. Let's actually find someone that is maybe a bit deeper into the map. Testify? Yeah, Testify. Ooh, Testify! Barely able to reach the checkpoint. He almost lost all of his speed. So, Testify for Team Oblivion is pretty deep into the track. But he's also taking it pretty safely, so I'm not sure how well practiced he is. Right now, only 11th place, so that would not be a spot into the playoffs for Testify as of now. Solide Zeehond also now in this part. Hazard actually left the game, so I don't think he really knew the map, so he's gonna be out of it. Haven't spectated Alex yet for Team N-Shore. Alex, also a driver that I haven't seen a lot yet. But nice to see that he's giving it a try as well. So he's now coming closer to this section of the track. Oh, very late respawn right there. Not the greatest reflexes from Alex. But he's still on a PB. And there's 12.5 minutes left for the drivers to set their fastest time. Manages to squeeze himself through this part. That's pretty good. Alex now going towards this little mountain pass section. Very, very tight. A couple of bounces that you need to keep control over. But it doesn't look very bad for him. So Alex still on a fast time. Let's switch to some other drivers. Yuke still hasn't finished, and he's actually just standing there. So I'm not sure what's happening to Yuke, because he's a really, really good RPG driver. And right now he hasn't finished a run, and he's just standing there scratching his balls. So I don't know. Oh, he just started driving. Not sure what's up with Yuke, though. Does he know the map? That is the other question. Because I think he did the same mistake like Hazard. This is wrong. Ay, 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 ay. Masabi also hasn't finished the run, but it looks like he knows the map. So he definitely needs to clock in a run in the next 11 minutes. Also, Socrato for Team Revolt. Oh yeah, another big mistake. A full stop into the IKEA box. Ah, and I think he also doesn't know the map. So a couple of players that are actually competing without knowing the map. And that is of course not the greatest idea, because that is putting the chances to qualify yourself for the playoff phase to basically 0. So you can definitely see that Socrato has absolutely no idea where to go. And Mosky with a Twitch Prime sub. Hello, my man. Thank you very much welcome, welcome to the team. Enjoy your emotes. So, following LRD, German driver. Lord 1. He's rocking that TM Plus car skin. That's pretty cool. So right now he's having the 15th fastest time, which is not enough to qualify. But maybe this run is gonna boost himself a little further through the leaderboards. Let's follow him a little bit. At least he knows the map, so he definitely has the chances to qualify. But being 10.4 seconds behind at the previously passed checkpoint is going to be difficult to catch up from. Right now, it's only the 12th place, so LRD needs to step it up a couple gears if he wants to qualify. Yeah, we actually did break the sub goal of 420. Hey! Funny number, XD. So, Ariana. We haven't seen a lot from Ariana. And he's actually, wow, he's not going for this way of turning around his car. I'm not actually sure what he's attempting. But he is going for a different strat of backing up. So, as I said, you need to go up that hill backwards. And what I usually saw is that players are turning their car around before reaching the water. However, Ariana is not quite sure what he wants to do. So a little bit of a struggle right there for Ariana. But he should be safe with a 634. I don't think he's going to be passed with that. Spam is going through the freewheel section. He's going to reach the next checkpoint. With, oh, minus 12 seconds. And he's actually up with the best drivers right here. Tourist now clocking in a 6:28. Not quite close to his personal best, but still a very, very good time. So Spam is on a good time. Let's see if he's going to be able to improve. Skandir now, 6:22. And players are really risking it right here for the fastest time. That is now just slightly above a second between Tourist, the 6:21, and Skandir 6:22 that he just clocked in. So Skandir is really, really fast. Amazing, amazing driving. But let's follow Spam. Will he be able to keep up that lead that he has over his PB and maybe even pass a couple of drivers as we're coming through the Super Mario section now? 3.9 seconds behind Skandir's fastest time at the previously passed checkpoint. It will be 10 drivers that qualify to the playoffs. So Spam right now on that 8th place would definitely benefit from that PB improving. And right now, it is looking fairly good. Now, this section, want to make sure that you don't hit any of these rocks while you're entering the water. Because in the water, like, the water is, like, the car is really, really sensitive to any sort of bump. So, if you happen to hit anything during the landing process into the water, you're most likely going to flip, and that's the end. So, that's something you really want to avoid, even if it takes a little bit of a release during the jump in order not to jump too far. It's perfectly fine. Definitely worth it. Because releasing... Oh, Spam! Oh, my... Oh, Spam! Oh, Jesus. Pulling off the desert car right here. Almost flipping his car. And that lost him a lot of time towards the leaders. But he's still ahead of his PB. But that was really, really risky. Oh, boy. But he's gonna clock in a 6:32.8. And that should be safe for Spam. 4th place for him, passes Kevin Strike and Marius. 5:45 left on the clock. So let's see if anyone's still on the run. Skandir is not driving. Tourist could still finish. Sixella is not driving. Spam is not driving. Kevin Strike is still driving. Marius is still driving. Scrappy is also still driving. So many drivers still on their last tries. So let me follow Marius. He should be safe with his time as well. But maybe he's going to be able to improve his time. And the timer is ticking down. Some spicy Neo slides by Marius. Through this part, as we see LRD improving his time to a 14th Steadymania. But that is not going to be sufficient, so he's definitely not going to be able to qualify. Clocks in a 7:18, which is still a very, very nice time. So, Testify is on that 11th place, and Vunio is on the hot seat. He's on the 10th place. So, in the best case, he wants to improve, and perhaps even pass his teammate Demos. While we have Testify that needs to improve, and right now it is looking pretty good. At the checkpoint, he's 8th. So, Testify on his way to qualify, but he needs to survive the second half of the track flawlessly. Big mistakes are not allowed. Big mistakes are gonna mean the rip. Now this part. Touching the wall, as I said, is gonna be the end. But it is looking good for Testify. Maintains more than enough speed to reach the next checkpoint. So that looks pretty good for him. There he goes, and he's now dropping down to 9th place. But also 9th place is still enough for Testify. So let's follow him. The pressure is definitely on him. Because as I said, one mistake would mean the end. Oh, and he full stops as he tries to enter this narrow little pipe section. So that is going to be a time loss of 2 to 3 seconds. Not like, maybe even more actually. So Testify now not looking all too good for him. Vunio still on the hot seat. 4.5 seconds ahead of his PB. Would not be enough to pass Demos right now. Alex has improved his time. Won't be able to qualify. While we have Testify still trying to improve. Skyzen also finished. Not going to make it. Zolita Zehon not going to make it. And I think the others are not going to make it either. So the only guy that we have to look out for right now is Testify. Will he make it? He is on 10th place right now. This is the hot seat. He cannot afford any sort of mistake at this point of the track. Now, oh, that was close. Barely able to pass the jump, but Testify is still in the mix. According to the last checkpoint, 17.4 seconds behind the fastest time. Now the next checkpoint coming up. It is going to be 18.3 seconds now, and Testify flips his car. Luckily, it was just after the checkpoint, so he's just going to suffer from a minor time loss. But another mistake, and Testify respawns. Testify is out. He's not going to make it. Leaves the server. That is a classic Alt F4 rage quit. Understandable. Have a nice day. So, Vunio will be able to actually continue. Vunio still in with a 6:48.839. No one else is driving. Yuke. Oh. Masabi. Oh, maybe Masabi. Wait, let's actually have a look at Masabi. I almost counted him out, but the Finnish Perkele Masabi having some struggles with the water entry. As I said, it's not easy to pull that off. He struggles a lot, but he's on 10th place. He could maybe take away the 10th place from Vunio. This could be spicy. Scrappy improving his time. Marius as well. And we are coming closer to the end of the track for Masabi. Will Masabi finish or will he eat wasabi? 50 seconds left on the clock. He will be able to reach the finish line. But I'm not sure if that's going to be sufficient to qualify himself for the playoff phase. This is going to be spicy. He's still on 10th place. No mistakes allowed now. We're coming towards the end of the track now. The last uphill. Will he make it? Masabi might snipe that 10th place from Vunio. And he's going to make it with only less than a second between him and Vunio. So Vunio is out and Masabi is in. Oh, boy. That was clutch. Masabi has not finished a single run up until now. Oh, the top 9 will actually just qualify. Okay, so Masabi getting friend-zoned on that 10th place. Because we have 18 finishers. So it's about the finishers and not the drivers from the beginning. So it will be the top 9 that will actually qualify. So a little bit of a mistake here. So it will be Demos that will be in on that hot seat. That was actually the 9th place instead of the 10th one. So, the qualified drivers will now go into the KO phase. Meaning that the slowest driver is going to be KO'd. So now all of the drivers are going to start at the same time. Wait, let's actually see. Oh, so it is top 10 in the end. So, Masabi's in. Yuke has finished. Yuke has finished. Meaning that we have 19 finishers now. So it will be the top 10 that qualify. So Masabi is actually in. He is actually in. So we have a back and forth right here in the rule set. But Wasabi is in. Yuke giving Wasabi the chance to compete in the playoff phase. So the lineup here in the chat: Skandir, Scrappy, Tourist, Marius, Sixella, Spam, Kevin Strike, Ariana, Demos, and Masabi. Gonna have a little break and then we're gonna go into the KO phase. So as I said, all of the drivers will start at the same time. And the last driver will be KO'd. So he's not gonna be able to compete. So it's basically a last man standing at this point. So I'm not sure if it's 1 or 2 KOs per round. I'm not quite sure about that. I think it's 2 KOs in the first rounds, and then it's only going to be 1 later on. And we're going to have a 10-minute break. Okay, so a 10-minute break, meaning that we will return shortly for the playoff phase. So looks like it will be 2 KOs until the top 5 or the top 4. And after that it will be 1 KO per round. So this is now going to be the spicy part of the tournament, where mistakes are going to be really, really costly. Like now you don't have another, like you don't have a second chance. You can't just say, hey, restart, hello. But a mistake is going to be out, pretty much. Of course, it's not going to be easy to actually get through this map without any major mistake. So even if you happen to make a mistake, you can always like try to rely on mistakes from your opponents. But it's not guaranteed that that will happen, because we have some really, really high-end drivers right here. So yeah, let's see how that will go. The 10-minute break will be used by the drivers to do some extra warm-up on the track. So very, very curious to see what kind of times are going to be driven in the live rounds. I'm safe to say that we will see 620 times by a couple of drivers. Tourist and Skandir probably going to be some candidates together with Scrappy. And perhaps even Spam. Or maybe even Marius. Maybe even Ariana. I think almost everyone that qualified is capable of doing the 620 in the rounds. But that is going to require a lot of risking. So others also just decide not to drive at all. That is also fair enough. Some drivers prefer to keep their momentum up by just driving and driving and driving if there's a break. While others prefer to calm their hands a little bit, just take some rest, and regain their focus, regain their energy. Maybe have a little snack, a little like fap as well. You never know in the breaks. So everyone is different. Everyone is having his individual rituals for situations like this. So, yeah, just gotta wait and see. And we're gonna be looking forward to an amazing KO phase at this point. Ah, here we go. The break is over. GLHF, we are gonna start the KO phase of the RPG NightCup. We have Scrappy, Marius89, Ariana G, Tourist, Sixella, Kevin Strike, Skandir, Demo, Spam, and Masabi competing for the victory in this competition. Spam is off to an amazing start. He's on first place, followed by Demos, Kevin Strike, and Sixella, but Spam now struggling a little bit in the water part and loses a lot of positions with that. So after that initial head start, he is down to, looks like 5th or 6th place. 6th place according to the checkpoint. Now the Flipperuski, Spam with a very good one, passes 2 drivers here at least. And now we have the section where you want to turn around your car. We see Ariana G that goes for a completely different strat. He's like the only one that actually goes for it, and it doesn't seem to be very well worth it, as he lost time towards the other drivers. Oh, Marius with a terrible turnaround. Oh, that is very unlucky for Marius. Doesn't manage to rotate his car properly at the turnaround section. So Marius all the way down to 2nd to last place by the looks of it. We're gonna have 2 KOs per round, so the two slowest drivers will be KO'd. So, following Scrappy up the dirt spiral. He is right behind Ariana G. And in the lead right now. Can I actually switch players here? Yeah, I can. Wow, this is actually amazing. So, Spam is in the lead right now, followed by Sixella and Tourist. No, Sixella actually lost some positions now. He had to respawn, so it will be Tourist that is trailing Spam right now. Spam in the lead. Showing that he got it inside of him. He got the talent, not only in tech, but also in RPG. So right now he's in the lead. Kevin Strike, mainly known as a dirt driver. He is a very, very good dirt driver and is also doing a lot of RPG stuff now. So Kevin Strike mixing up the field here and occupies the 3rd position now, going for the overtake on Tourist. So Kevin Strike now in 2nd place. Demos just behind. Demo's a player that I haven't seen a lot, so he's a little bit of a surprise to me. Oh, and Kevin Strike had to respawn. Luckily, he flipped his car right after the checkpoint, so not the biggest time loss for Kevin Strike, but of course, unlucky to say the least. Now following Ariana G for Milky Way. Now going through the maze. Through the prison, as I like to call it. Oh, Demos! Where did he go? Demos completely got stuck in one of those entrances. I don't know if he just got jebaited, if he like got lost temporarily, or if that was just a plain driving mistake. I didn't really see. Oh, Ariana with a stop pick as well, and gets passed by 2 drivers, by Kevin Strike and Demos. So a big back and forth, which is good for Marius. And Skandir has actually dropped down to 2nd to last place. Masabi on last. He was barely able to clock in that qualification spot, so it's going to be difficult for him to keep up with the pace of the other drivers. And Masabi got lost here as well. That is a Perkele and a half, so he's 20 seconds behind the leader, and it's not looking good for Masabi. If Skandir gets out in this round, that would be a scandal almost, because he was doing really good in the time attack phase, and now he is actually facing elimination. So that would be a massive disappointment if Skandir actually gets knocked out. But we're only 4 minutes into the map, and there's still a lot coming up that you could possibly mess up, including this freewheeling section. And we see Marius with low speed up front. Skandir might actually go for that overtake as we're coming towards the next checkpoint. Marius with very low speed. I'm actually quite worried about him. Is he gonna reach that checkpoint? Oh, Ariana also with low speed. And Skandir now overtaking almost 2 players in one go. That was a really well executed section by Skandir. And now he's all up in the mix again. Marius now facing elimination. He is down to second to last place. We can see a lot of drivers very, very close to each other. So any big mistake could mean the end for any of these drivers. Spam still in the lead, followed by Scrappy. They are now jumping out of the tube section. Are they both going to make it? Yes. Tourist? Yes. Sixella, looking good here as well. Over 200 kilometers an hour. That is more than sufficient. Sixella, yes. Kevin Strike, yes. Skandir, yes. Ariana, yes. Everyone makes it. Masabi still in this tube. Not sure if he's going to make it. He has pretty low speed, but I think that should be sufficient for him. But this is not decided yet, ladies and gentlemen. This is the hot seat right now that is being decided for. Demos now has dropped down. He apparently did a respawn. So Demos now on the hot seat. Will he make this jump? Yes, he will. That is looking good for Demos. But he needs to step up 1.5 gears. He needs to step it up. Or hope for a mistake. Oh, and that is a massive one by Demos. And he's all the way down to last. That could be the early GG at this point. Demos, that was the second to last jump that he messed up before the checkpoint. So that is unfortunate to say the least. So all of these drivers in a very, very close convoy right here. Mario is now passing Ariana G, the 2 Germans. Almost inside of each other right here through the water section as we come closer to the finish line. Spam actually winning this round, which is a very, very nice surprise to see. Spam now up the stairs and clocks in a 6:30.29. That is, I think, a PB for him and the first place in this round. Scrappy on second. Then we have Tourist up to third place, followed by Sixella and Skandir and Ariana G and Marius. That was some pretty well executed stuff. Masabi and Demos are going to be out, since they occupy the 2 bottom place positions. This is a KO format, so they will receive the boxing glove into their heads out of the server. So it was looking pretty grim for Skandir, for example, but he was able to recover pretty well and clocked in the 4th position in the end. Here we see Masabi finishing, and Demos, I think, went to spectator already. So, yeah. That is going to be concluding the first round. 2 drivers out, next round coming in right here without any break. So the player field now diminished to 8 racers on this track. Let's follow Scrappy. What a risky start by Scrappy. Up to first place he goes. But we see Spam also with a great start together with Skandir. All of the 3 drivers off to a great start. And we see Kevin Strike that hasn't reached CP1 yet. Kevin Strike with a terrible start. And already 9.7 seconds behind. That is going to be difficult to catch up from. Not the greatest start for Kevin Strike whatsoever. Not sure what happened to him. But against these fast drivers, a 9-second disadvantage is going to be difficult to catch up from. And now this section again. Ariana, the special snowflake that goes for that different approach, will lose some time. Even though not too much, but a little bit. Spam in the meantime has lost some time as well. He's now battling it out with Marius89. They are on 6th and 7th place respectively. Diving into the water and up the spiral we go. Scrappy on 1st place. Then we have Tourist and Skandir following up. Respawn. Nicely done. Ooh, Tourist getting stuck there a little bit, but also Ariana making contact with the wall. And Kevin Strike actually now catching up to Sixella, who made a mistake apparently as well. Kevin Strike looking to overtake. He of course needs to risk it for the biscuit. He has nothing to lose at this point, so he needs to risk it. 9.7 seconds still, so he didn't gain or he didn't lose anything towards the leaders. Kevin Strike keeping up with the pace, but he's lurking in the shadows. He needs to hope for mistakes at this point. Ooh, almost a wall touch right there on the left side by Kevin Strike, but manages to avoid it, so he's still in the mix with Sixella. So both of them right now are facing elimination, while we still have the battle between Marius and Spam as we now enter this part of the track. Will we see some jubations? And as I switch about Ariana, he respawns and got jubated. So another little brain lag by one of the drivers. This is really not easy. It might look easy when you're just spectating or when you're just casting, but driving it and actually like keeping the orientation intact while you're trying to navigate through this maze where everything just looks the same is actually easier said than done. Like, believe me. Believe me. Ooh, and now this is getting spicy. We have Kevin Strike also in the mix right there with these drivers. Marius 89 with a good drift into the checkpoint, respawning, and out we drive. Marius now on position number 6. You need to get a nice and wide drift, maintain enough speed to pass the water bounce jump. And we see Scrappy actually that is losing some positions. I'm not sure what happened to him, but he used to be on first, and now it is Skandir that inherits that first place. And he's up there with a pretty good lead together with Tourist. Oh, Skandir had to respawn! Skandir had to respawn, and that is gonna be last place for him, out of nowhere. That was probably the worst place to crash for Skandir, and that is looking more than terrible for the Belgian driver. Unless anyone else is having to respawn, this could be the end for Skandir. Ooh, one of the favorites with another big mistake. Skandir has made a mistake, like a big one, in the previous round, but he was able to recover. Now, he's 19.1 seconds behind, and that is gonna be requiring a miracle and a half to come back from. So Skandir facing elimination together with Kevin Strike. Also, only 7th place for Kevin Strike. Also a player that is capable of doing better, but he made a mistake in the beginning and he fell behind a little further. Now 12.4 seconds from that initial 9.7 seconds disadvantage that he was in going into this round. So not looking good here whatsoever, but he still sees Sixella. He can still see him in front of him. So this is not decided yet. Let's see what's going to happen. Perhaps a little difference is going to be made in this section. Kevin Strike with a full stop. And I don't think he's going to make this jump. Oh, he's actually going to make it. That jump was shorter than I thought. So, lucky for Kevin Strike and good map knowledge as well. Good that he just didn't hit the respawn button. And as I say that, Sixella hits the respawn button and now he is down to last place. And Skandir now in the mix with Tourist. If Skandir overtakes Tourist, it will be decided. Tourist has to... No, he actually clips, but doesn't have to respawn. Oh. Skandir now in again. As I said, Tourist with a respawn as well. And the players are crumbling like the cookies from Subway again. Oh, dear Lord in heaven. We're coming towards the end of the track, and the players are making mistakes left, right, and center. The fight for first is also hot and spicy like the Pringles. Scrappy, Spam, and Ariana only a second apart from each other. Marius also in there, but Tourist and Sixella have lost so much time that I think Skandir is safe. Scrappy finishing on first place, followed by Ariana G. Spam had to respawn, but that's no biggie. He's gonna drop down to 4th. Let's Marius89 pass him. Then we have Kevin Strike, Skandir actually safe, and Tourist and Sixella, 2 Milky Way drivers, are out. Damn. That is something I haven't seen coming, but then again, in RPG anything can happen. And messing up one decisive part can already be the early GG for you. So here we see Sixella now finishing with a 7:14 time. And he's gonna say au revoir, bye bye, RPG NightCup. GG. 6 drivers remaining. This is gonna be, I think, the last round where we're gonna have 2 KOs. After that, we will have 1 KO per round. The remaining drivers are Scrappy, Spam, Ariana G, Marius89, Skandir, and Kevin Strike. So here we go, and I see Skandir really far behind. He didn't make CP1 again. As he goes for a bug slide strat, but he lost 7 seconds already. Skandir choking. Oh, but also Spam with a poor entry into the water, and that is also going to lose him several seconds. Not the greatest start for Spamito Bobito. But we're still early into this track. Only 40 seconds have passed. A lot can happen, guys. Kevin Strike going for very, very alternative. So this is another special snowflake. Kevin Strike backing off really early, and this is so fast. Oh my god, Kevin Strike is actually using the 350 IQ strats right here and backs off the earliest and gets pretty much the best speed out of it. Marius89 on 1st, Scrappy on 3rd, Spam on 4th. Oh, no slide and a full stop by Spam. But he's still on that safe spot. Ariana and Skandir. Skandir now, you can see him backing off now. He has lost so much time. I think Skandir is already out of this one. 22.2 seconds are lost in just the first 1.5 minutes of the track. I think Skandir is out. Ariana G also not looking all too good, but he's still in the race. Like, he can still benefit from mistakes by the other drivers. As you can see, all of them are still within a reasonable amount of time. So let's see what's gonna happen. As we go through the IKEA boxes. Do we have any fight right now going on? I think the first, the fight for first is pretty interesting between Kevin Strike and Marius89. Kevin Strike this time avoiding any sort of mistake, and now he is in the mix for first place. Marius doing really good here. Might even be on a PB. But now that was a poorly executed section by Marius, and he's gonna have to give away that first place to Kevin Strike. And yeah, you can clearly see Kevin Strike is risking it a lot more in comparison to Marius. The safe mindset, taking it easy, and that is definitely the best approach for a competition like this. Of course, for a knockout format, you really don't want to risk it all the time. And on top of that, this is an RPG map where risks can be, like, punished really, really hard. So Marius' playstyle definitely being beneficial. And since he apparently also got the pace to keep up with the fastest drivers, Marius definitely up to be one of the favorites in this RPG NightCup. Second place for him. Scrappy 3 seconds behind, going for the flip that he makes successfully. Ariana now approaching the flip section as well. Boop, there you go. And Spam is actually on that dangerous spot now. Spam! Ooh, barely able to land that flip, but manages to keep it. But he's 6 seconds behind, so Spam might be facing elimination here together with Skandir. So Spam would also greatly appreciate a mistake by one of the other drivers. And it has to be quite a big one as well. 5 seconds is the gap between his RIP 5th place and the safe 4th place. We saw Ariana going for the water bounce, passes it. Easy peasy. Kevin Strike. Now this section, where we saw many mistakes already. And making a mistake here could be a game breaker. Kevin Strike is having pretty low speed. Marius definitely with more speed. Scrappy with more speed again. So this is actually getting interestingly close at this part. Scrappy with the most speed now going for the overtake on Kevin Strike and Marius. Scrappy scraping off 2 positions in 1 sector. Kevin Strike losing a lot, and he was barely able to reach that checkpoint. So that was pretty close. But he doesn't really have to bother about that too much. As long as he's in, it's all good. Spam now even dropped down to last place. He even had to let Skandir pass. So this is the end for Spam and Skandir. Even though Skandir has caught up many seconds, he's now only 15.7 seconds behind. Keep in mind, he was up to like 22 seconds at one point. So Skandir has driven out of his mind, trying his best to actually catch up. And he sees Ariana up front. So maybe something is going to happen in that regard. Let's focus on Skandir. Boy, oh boy. If that is another comeback by Skandir, that is going to be... I'm calling rigged. Because he did that in the previous rounds as well. If he does that another time, I'm calling rigged match fixing. So Skandir is creeping in closer. He can see his opponents, and he's even gaining onto the leader. That is Scrappy. 13.7 seconds now. Wow. Not even half a minute of track left. Skandir needs to push it as far as he can. And we see multiple drivers actually getting stuck in the water section. This is brilliant for Skandir. He is coming closer even more. 10.5 seconds. Everyone is taking it safe while Skandir is driving out of his mind. And he sees 3 drivers that he could snack right now. Oh my god. Marius89 in the lead, followed by Kevin Strike, Ariana, and Scrappy. And then there's Skandir. That is not too far behind. We're coming towards the end of the track. And now, one mistake could be the complete end of one of those drivers. As we see Marius now going up the last spiral, he is going to finish with a good time. But no one's going to make a mistake. And Skandir so close, but yet so far. Great effort by Skandir. Either way, after that humongous mistake that he did, Skandir and Spam out. Not actually sure what happened to Spam, but that was a humongous mistake. And I think it was actually the freewheel section where he completely died. That is the longest sector of the track. So if you respawn there, you lose so much time. Skandir leaving the server, probably being frustrated about this, but that is of course understandable since he was definitely capable of performing better. And here we see Spam now still finishing this run. And it will be 4 drivers remaining. So from this point on, it will be only 1 KO per round. So let's see what's gonna happen. So, here we go. Marius89 versus Scrappy versus Ariana versus Kevin Strike. 4 drivers in this RPG NightCup. Here we go. Next round. Go, go, go. And everybody is making the start. This time, nobody getting stuck in the start. The start is pretty bad to drive, I've seen, and I've heard a lot of complaints about the start being not really consistent, being a little bit RNG based. So that probably explains why we've seen people struggling with the start in the previous rounds. This time, however, nobody is struggling, and we see a really close fight in the first 37 seconds of the track. Oof, what a high flip by Ariana, and that could have gone wrong. However... What? Scrappy? Scrappy had to respawn. The first big mistake by Scrappy, and that is going to be a massive time loss already. I think his car flipped in the water, and that is already a bad start for Reflex Scrappy. Kevin Strike off to the greatest start. He's on first by 2 seconds over Ariana, and Marius just behind. So they can take it easy already. Scrappy's 11.8 seconds behind. So there's not even like a big need to actually risk it at this point, because Kevin Strike is the one. Scrappy is the one that really needs to push it now. So let's just focus on the fight for second place between the two Germans. Marius definitely taking a bit easier through the boxes, while Ariana was pushing through and gains a little bit of a lead over his fellow countrymen. Everybody passing the flip nicely, so good pace for all of these three drivers, and that is putting Scrappy under more pressure with every sector of the track, because Scrappy wasn't really able to catch up to any of the drivers. The gap remains roughly 11 seconds. Let's have a look. Scrappy at 10.5, so he caught up just a tiny little bit, but that is certainly not enough. That is certainly not enough. Ariana now creeping in closer to Kevin Strike. Ariana got a landing bug as he got into the pipe. Barely able to get out of it, so that was pretty close. Marius passes it as well. And now we have this part. Will anyone get debated? We saw Ariana in one of the rounds actually going for a full stop and actually getting lost as well. So, anything can happen in this part of the track. Like, really anything. Kevin Strike opting for a wallbang. Ariana with a nice timed Neo slide. And I think the Neo slide was a little faster. Kevin Strike, however, still keeping the lead. And Scrappy is creeping in closer. 9.2 seconds now. And Scrappy, of course, knows that. He's experienced enough in this video game to know that he needs to push it now. And if he makes one more major mistake, it's over and out. So he needs to drive fast, or pretty much world record pace, in order to catch up. So let's see what's gonna happen. 8.5 seconds. Marius is now losing ground towards the others. But what do I see here? What? Wait. Kevin Strike actually messed up the turnaround. He did not manage to accumulate enough speed to pass the water jump now. And it's Scrappy that benefits. Unbelievable. This is unbelievable. Scrappy is in all of a sudden. Kevin Strike actually, like, that is something that I mentioned in the previous round, that he needs to get a nice and wide drift around the platform to get enough speed to pass the jump. And looks like Kevin Strike either hit an obstacle on his way to that point, or he just got a crap drift and noticed that he's not going to pass the jump. So, yeah, that is pretty bad for Kevin Strike. But the gap between him and Scrappy isn't all too big. So, something can still happen in this regard. Oh boy, this is gonna get spicy towards the last third of the track. One mistake could be deadly. Kevin Strike not going for any no slides here. We've seen that from people like Marius or Spam, who are going for no slides. I think also Skandir did it. So different approaches by the drivers. Doesn't really matter what you do. No sliding is of course quicker, but it's not a necessity to pass that section. And now this part. This is gonna be decisive as well. Who is gonna pass this the best? Ooh, Marius definitely struggling. I think he had to back off a little bit. So also Marius is now dangerously close to the other two drivers. Scrappy and Kevin Strike creeping in closer. Oh boys, this could be incredibly close between these three drivers. The gap at this checkpoint is only 3 seconds between second and fourth place. Now the water entry gonna be very decisive. Kevin Strike gets it really, really well. Jumped really far without losing control or like losing the grip of his car. Oh, but now it happens here though, and that is gonna be a tiny time loss for Kevin Strike. And we're coming closer to the end of the track. Will Scrappy survive this one after the brutal mistake in the first section of the track? Will he survive this one? And will he knock French driver Kevin Strike out? Let's see. Ariana G finishes with a 6:28.7. That is a great time. And it looks good for the other drivers as well. Last spiral up. Marius will make it. Scrappy will make it. And Kevin Strike is out after that mistake. Wow. Great race though. And we're gonna go into the top 3 podium for the RPG NightCup. Scrappy, Marius, and Ariana. 2 Germans and 1 Belgian. Here we go into the top 3. That was a very, very fortunate situation for Scrappy. Because, you know, surviving a really, really bad start like that is, yeah, you shouldn't take that for granted at all. So Scrappy still in the mix for the victory in this RPG NightCup, and he's off to the greatest start. He's on first. Marius with the slowest start. Ariana flipping up very high again. Marius with a very bad landing after the flip. But that is not going to cost him too much time, as we see Ariana flipping his car. And also Marius flipping his car. What is Marius doing? He should respawn. Oh! Terrible, terrible sections for both German drivers. Ariana and Marius are both having massive problems. And Marius, oh my god, that is looking absolutely terrible for Marius. He still didn't pass the uphill climb. So Scrappy is gonna have that massive smiley face. Because he's like 10 seconds ahead by now already. 13 seconds. Unbelievable. So Scrappy, after being the guy that messed up in the start, now he is in the position where everyone else messed up in the start. So what a back and forth for Reflex Scrappy. And he can take it easy. Like, he can really, really take it easy. At this point. So this will be decided between Ariana and Marius. Marius needs to push it. He's 7 plus, almost 8 seconds behind. So Marius with a massive brain lag. He really should have respawned earlier when he noticed his car was flipping in the water. There's no point in waiting for something to happen, because that's going to take like 5 years. Until the car regains grip, if it happens at all. It's going to be Christmas 2021. So Marius really should have respawned earlier. And he's going to be greatly punished due to that hesitation. So yeah, he needs to hope for a mistake by Ariana or maybe by Scrappy. But I don't see Scrappy losing 20 seconds. It can happen, but I don't see it happening. So all of the drivers are pretty spread on the map. Not really a lot to commentate here right now. Ariana has actually caught up to Scrappy by 2 seconds. So you can clearly see Scrappy is taking it easy. He knows that he's in such a comfortable situation that it's just more than logical to not risk it at this point. So now we have the flipperoni. Scrappy makes it. Oh, gets the gear down. Will he pass this jump? Yeah. And this is the exit. Scrappy getting out of prison. And now we have the water bounce jump. Will Scrappy make sure to maintain enough speed? Players have made mistakes here, but that looks moderately fine for Scrappy. He's gonna pass it. Boop. Nicely done. Ariana now being here. Like, look at that difference. Ariana lost time. It's 15 seconds now. And that is good for Marius, because he came a little bit closer to his countryman. Just a tiny little bit. Marius now. Boop. And now the longest sector of the track. Will Scrappy survive it? He's sitting here with roughly 100 kilometers an hour. Having 100 at this point of this area is more than enough. So he's gonna reach the next checkpoint and he keeps driving. Ariana also looking more than okay. Marius as well. So no big mistakes here. Ariana regaining his engine, Marius as well. The gaps have remained the same throughout the longest section of the track. And it is less than 2 minutes of time for Marius to make something happen. He goes for a no-slide. Look at those smooth lines through the dirt. He's really pushing it right now. That was a pretty well executed section by Marius. He's coming a little bit closer to Ariana. That is not too big of a distance. Marius is coming a little bit closer. Oh, but that is a mistake, and this is over and out for Marius at this point. He clipped the side of the pipe, lost the speed, and this is a section where you need to maintain the speed. So this is pretty much the early GG at this point. Marius, the safe Meister, not able to keep up. Was risking it a little too hard. And gets punished. So yeah, 32 seconds. That is something that he is definitely not going to be able to catch up from. Scrappy now in the water. That is probably going to be a pretty good time by Scrappy as well. Could be a 6:20 maybe. Even though 6:20 is going to be tough. No, I don't think that's going to be a 6:20. But a 6:30. Or maybe a 6:40. I don't know. It's hard to tell. It's hard to tell. But it's going to be an okay time. Nah, he lost a lot of time. Look at that. Ariana caught up like 7 seconds. So Scrappy definitely with a big mistake somewhere towards the end of the track. But yeah. Marius will be out. Takes 3rd place in the RPG NightCup. Which is, I think, still a considerably good result for him. Scrappy finishing, gets a 6:37. Still a good time. Ariana now going through the finish line, 6:46.373. And here we have Marius pulling a ballerina. And that is going to be the GG. So it will be the grand final between Scrappy and Ariana in the RPG NightCup. Here we go, last round. This will be do or die for the drivers. Oh, Scrappy won. Alright, here we go. GLHF. This is gonna be the final round. After an end round. And off we go to start block. Ariana G versus Scrappy. Here we go. On Castle of Sorrow by Sorrow Croatia, who specifically made a second version of this map for this purpose. And off we go through the first water section with Scrappy being in the lead over Ariana. Not by too much, but a pretty good start for Reflex Scrappy. He has the momentum. He drove a good round in the previous one, a good lap. So he has the momentum and he needs to keep it up. Ariana is a really fast driver. We have seen that in other competitions and of course in some time attacking as well. And Ariana makes the same mistake again and he has to respawn. And I don't want to call the early GG, But that is a terrible mistake. Ariana doing the same thing again. Flipping his car into the water, and that is a time loss of 10 plus seconds. Ay. What an anticlimactic start into this final. 14.5 seconds of a time loss for Ariana G. And that is not gonna bode well for Ariana G's new album. The sales are gonna rapidly decrease with this. Oh boy. And now Scrappy in the best position of his entire life to win a competition. This is a free ticket, basically, to victory. And Ariana getting stuck again. Another 1 second loss down the toilet. Ay. Ariana really crumbling under the pressure of this tournament. 16.5 seconds. Ah, that hurts. That really hurts. So the only way that I see Scrappy lose 16 seconds is either by messing up in that long sector, like in the longest sector of the track, or by just completely chunking the maze part, or just basically by pretending not to know the map. That is how you lose 16 seconds. So here we go. Let's just follow Ariana, who gained 2/10 in the last sector. That is not a lot, but it's something. That is something. And there goes the 2/10. He lost them again. A little bit of a back and forth right here, but Scrappy went through without any mistakes. Here's the respawn checkpoint out of the prison. So let's just follow him for a little bit. That should be sufficient speed. There he goes. Boop. Nicely done. Ariana probably just about to reach this part, yes. Damn. What a final. So here we go. Scrappy. If he survives this part, we can call the early GG. And he's taking it safe. He transitioned from a no slide into a full slide just to make sure that he makes the turn. So not the greatest speed for Scrappy. Still maintains that 100. So Scrappy will definitely make it. And yeah, I think this is not gonna change in the next half of the track. Ariana passes it as well. But he is definitely gonna be unhappy about this. He's gonna be mad that he messed up twice in a row at the same part. Because he could have definitely put up a nice fight against Scrappy. They both had a great pace, and you can see that they have very similar local records as well. Scrappy with a 6:27.9 and Ariana just 3/10 slower with a 6:28.267. So they had a very similar pace. And now Ariana just flushed it down the toilet basically. 17.4 seconds. Scrappy gaining time. And yeah. I don't think he's gonna let that slip through his hands at this point. 5 minutes into the track. Now we have the Super Mario section. This could be where you could possibly lose more than 10 seconds if you mess up like one of the final jumps, forcing you to respawn all the way back. But I think Scrappy will survive it. Looks pretty good here from this point on at least. Let's see. Last platform now, jumping onto this one and into the next CP. Scrappy survives. And yeah, that was important for Scrappy. Nice entry into the water. Pretty safe. But that is what he needs right now. Ariana, no way. Jose. final water section for Scrappy. And that is going to be a good time. I think that could be a 6:20. Or a very low 6:30. Let's see. Exiting the water at 6:15. Last corner and then into the last staircase we go. Scrappy wins the RPG NightCup of tonight with a stellar performance. And he clocks in a 6:26.79 to end it off with. What a great time to win in the final. That was a very well-deserved victory for Scrappy. Ariana gets the silver medal after that very unfortunate mistake into the water. And Marius89 gets the bronze medal. Third place goes to Spheris Marius89. GG.